The Faithful Friend by Robert D. Souci. Illustrated by Brian Pinkney. In the last century, on the island of Martinique in the Caribbean Sea, there lived a man named Monsieur Duforce, who owned a sugar plantation. His wife had died giving birth to their only child, a boy named Clement. Monsieur Duforce hired a French-born widow who lived in the nearby village of Les Vauclins to be his son's nurse and tutor. She had given birth to her own son, Hippolyte, only a few days earlier. At Monsieur Duforce's insistence, Hippolyte was raised in the plantation house with Clement. The boys grew into handsome young men, tall and lithe and sharp-witted. Clement's brown skin was the rich color of old bronze, while Hippolyte's fair skin was tanned by the tropic wind and sun. From the very first, they were as close as brothers. One day, Clement showed his friend a small painting of a beautiful young woman. He said, "This is Pauline, the niece of Monsieur Zabacat, who lives at Macuba. I have fallen in love with her picture. Come with me tomorrow to visit her, so I can ask her uncle for her hand in marriage." At first, Hippolyte cautioned his friend. "A painting can only tell you part of the story. You may arrive at Macuba to find she is sharp-tongued or dull-witted." Then he lowered his voice and added, "Some say that her uncle is a quimboisseur, a wizard. There may be danger in this adventure." But when he saw that he could not change Clement's mind, he clasped his friend's hand and agreed to go. They were so close that the happiness of one was the happiness of both. They set out the next day. Because the sun was hot, they walked slowly north along the coast road. Everywhere vivid blossoms blazed against the bright green of sugar-cane and banana and pineapple fields, and the deeper green of distant mountains. It was a perfect setting for the young men's high spirits. But near Macuba, their joyful mood was broken when they discovered the body of an old beggar in the shade of a banana grove. They had passed by when Hippolyte suddenly said, "It is wrong to ignore that poor man. We must go back and give him a proper burial." Though Clement was eager to see Pauline, he agreed. At a nearby fishing village, they bought a simple coffin and arranged with the priest at the church to bury the unfortunate man in the little seaside cemetery. In a quieter mood, they reached the vast plantation of Monsieur Zabucat, their uncle and guardian of Pauline. "Bonjour, Missy. Good day, sir," Clement said politely when he met the master of the house. Monsieur Zabucat was a large man who stroked his thick mustache thoughtfully and offered Clement a guarded "Bonjour, mon fils." "Good day, my son." At that moment Pauline hurried outside, eager to meet their guests. To both young men she seemed cheerful as the morning sun. More beautiful than any painting, she was also lively and witty, and clearly delighted to meet the two friends. Clement, hopelessly in love, could only gaze at Pauline. Hippolyte talked of their journey, omitting only the sad incident of the beggar's funeral. All the time, he noticed the bright, loving smiles Pauline gave to Clement and the dark looks Monsieur Zabucat cast on his friend. Out of respect for Clement's father, whom he knew slightly, Monsieur Zabucat invited the young man to dinner. He would have sent Hippolyte to dine in the kitchen with the servants, but Clement and Pauline insisted that he remain. Unhappily, Monsieur Zabucat ordered his servants to set the table for four. They dined off fine china and silver and brought to the island from France. They ate their fill of spicy fish soup, Sweet clams, sausage, stuffed land crabs, red beans and rice, rich cakes, and fresh fruit. Monsieur Zabacat was cold but polite during the meal. But when Clement proposed to Pauline and she accepted, he grew furious. I forbid any such thing. I have decided that we will travel to France, he said. There you will marry the man I choose for you. But Pauline was a spirited young woman. No, dear uncle, she said. I am of age, and while I thank you for all you have done for me, I must follow my heart. At this, Monsieur Zabacat swept his dishes off the table. Then go. None of you is welcome any longer. But have a care. He thundered, his heavy mustache quivering and his dark eyes flashing red, like burning charcoal. You are not yet married. Though the hour was late, the three young people set out from Monsieur Zabacat's mansion. The moon hung full as a lamp to light their path. Pauline wept at her uncle's hard-heartedness. Clement comforted his love, assuring her, My father will welcome you as a daughter when we return to Les Vauclins, and he will make peace with your uncle. Feeling better, the young woman began to smile. She and Clement talked and laughed together until weariness made all three companions stop to rest. They lay down to sleep under the trees, but the warm night kept Hippolyte awake, and he was troubled to note that the murmur of insects and the sigh of wind in the tree-tops had died away. In the unnatural silence, he heard the sound of drums. Tap, 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 tap. While the others slept, he followed a path that led deeper into the forest. The drumming led Hippolyte to a small clearing. There he saw three tall, beautiful women whose skin gleamed like polished ebony. One beat upon a small drum. Hippolyte remained hidden when he heard the first woman say, The pretty girl and the handsome boy are asleep in the grove. The second said, Now we must do what the Quimbosseur, Zabacat, summoned us to do. Begin the spell, the third commanded. At this, Hippolyte grew frightened. He guessed that these creatures were zombies. He prayed they would not discover him before he could learn what wickedness they planned. The first zombie knelt beside a little stream, cupped water in her hands, and gave some to her companions. Tomorrow morning, she said, the couple will come upon a brook. The second zombie said, The girl will say that she is thirsty, and the boy will give her water. Then he will take a drink himself. The third said, They will die. Then she cried, If anyone hears this and repeats this, he will turn into stone from the soles of his feet to his knees. The zombie slipped away into the shadows, while Hippolyte returned to keep watch over his friends. When the others awoke at sunrise, Hippolyte dared not tell them what he had seen. He only knew that he must prevent the evil from happening. Soon the travelers saw a stream, and Pauline asked for a drink, but Hippolyte ran ahead and muddied the water. He brought the young woman some dirty water in his hands, saying, You would surely fall ill if you took even a drop. Though all were thirsty, they continued on their way. When the sun was high in the sky, they paused to rest, because the day had grown unbearably hot. While his friends drowsed, leaning against each other in a green shade, Hippolyte anxiously searched the surrounding forest for signs of danger. When the trees grew thickest, he spied the three zombies. They were passing a mango one to the other. The boy and the girl will not escape this time, said the first. Soon they will find a mango tree beside the path, said the second. They will each eat one and die, said the third. She squeezed the fruit in her hand until juice ran between her fingers. If anyone hears and tells them what he has heard, he will be turned to stone from the soles of his feet to his chest. Then the zombies hurried into the forest. Returning, Hippolyte found his friends awake and eager to be on their way. Both said how hungry they felt. Though Hippolyte pointed out the abundance of papayas, cherries, lemons, limes, and bananas all round, Pauline insisted that only a mango would satisfy her, and Clement said the same. Hippolyte dared not tell of what he had heard. Soon they came to a huge tree laden with ripe mangoes. While his companions cried out delightedly, Hippolyte ran ahead. He plucked a fruit, pretended to bite it, then threw it away in disgust. "Do not taste these. Ugh," he said. "They are poison." Indeed, his hands were blistered from merely touching the deadly fruit. Though Clement and Pauline were disappointed, they ignored their hunger, and the three continued on their way. The nearer they came to home, the hotter the day became. While the others sat and fanned themselves beside the road, Hippolyte restlessly wandered the nearest forest path. Not far away, he found the zombies passing a serpent from one to the other. "When the pretty couple enters the house," said the first, "their fate is sealed." "On their wedding night," said the second, "a serpent will sting them to death." "And if anyone knows and speaks a word," said the third, "he will turn to stone from the soles of his feet to the top of his head." Then she kissed the serpent and led her companions away into the forest. When the travelers reached the plantation, Monsieur Duforce was overjoyed at the news of the engagement of his son to Pauline. He promised to make amends with her uncle. Indeed, Monsieur Zabicat came for a visit and seemed to forgive the couple. He even agreed to attend the wedding. But Hippolyte saw the poisonous looks behind his pleasant words. He was certain that the man still planned to carry out his vengeance. By day, Hippolyte was always at his friend's side. At night he kept watch for the serpent the zombies had threatened, but he saw none. Nevertheless, he knew that the greatest danger awaited Pauline and Clement on their wedding night. On the day of the wedding, Clement looked more handsome than ever, and Pauline was a vision in a white satin gown sewn with diamonds, diamond-studded satin slippers, and a veil of antique French lace that had belonged to Clement's mother. The house and gardens were filled with guests who had come from miles around. But while the others made merry, Hippolyte sharpened his cutlass. That night he hid himself in the bridal chamber. As soon as the couple entered the room, Hippolyte saw a long, dark, speckled ribbon glide out from under the bed. It was a fer-de-lance, the deadliest snake on Martinique. With a cry, Hippolyte burst from hiding and cut the serpent in half. Instantly, the pieces vanished. Clement and Pauline, who had not seen the snake, began to shout at Hippolyte while Monsieur Duforce and the guests forced open the door. All were astonished to find Hippolyte, cutlass in hand, while no trace of danger remained. Then Monsieur Zabicat, furious that his plot had failed, cried, "Hippolyte is jealous of his friend's happiness. The sword in his hand is proof that he meant them harm." At first, Clement and Pauline and Monsieur Duforce would not believe this, but Hippolyte's refusal to explain his actions angered them. Finally, Clement ordered Hippolyte out of the house. Seeing the coldness in his friend's eyes, Hippolyte desperately began to tell his story, while all the while Monsieur Zabicat accused him, saying, "You are a liar and an assassin." When Hippolyte told about the zombies and the poisoned water, he turned to stone up to his knees. "Say no more," said Clement. Anxious that Clement know the whole truth, Hippolyte explained about the deadly fruit, so he became stone up to his chest. Not another word, begged Pauline, clutching his hand. She shivered at the feel of hard, cold stone. Finally, Hippolyte told about the serpent. Instantly he turned to stone to the very top of his head. "Oh, my poor friend!" shouted Clement. "I would give anything to restore you to life." Suddenly an old man stepped from the crowd. "I can bring back his life," he said to Clement, "if you will take this curse upon yourself." "Yes," Clement answered, "I already owe him my life 3 times over." Then he bravely hugged Pauline. The old man passed his hand 3 times over the head of the statue, then blew gently into the stone face. Hippolyte became a living person once more. Then the stranger turned toward Clement as Pauline and the others looked on in horror. But Monsieur Zabocat leaned forward eagerly. The old man made as if to touch Clement, but instead his outstretched fingers suddenly touched Monsieur Zabocat's forehead. The man instantly became a stone figure. "Your willingness to sacrifice your life for your friend gave me the power to break the spell," the stranger said to Clement. "But a curse only ends when returned to its source." While the friends exchanged a heartfelt embrace, the old man said, "I was the beggar you gave a Christian burial to on your way to Makuba. Bondi, the good Lord, gave me permission to come to earth and do you this service in return." The next moment, he vanished. After this, Clement and Pauline lived happily together. Hippolyte fell in love and married too, and the children of both couples grew up as close as brothers and sisters. The statue that had been Monsieur Zabocat was placed in a corner of the garden, where it soon crumbled into dust.